Hey you guys, Matt Allen here. Welcome back to Tactical Bassin'. Today, we're talking about how to catch bass when it gets really hot in August. The heat in August is just a whole different animal. I mean, it sets in so thick on you. Fishing this time of year can be tough. We've already talked a bunch this summer about how to adapt to heat, right? Different things that you can do, how to use heat to your advantage, where to find different kinds of shade that other people aren't finding. Those things are all incredibly effective. As we move through August, however, we start settling into like the nasty heat. You know what I'm saying? It's just different. It's brutal, and it can start impacting the fishing. Some lakes don't experience that. Some lakes, the bite is still rocking. The bass are using that shade. They're feeding hard. You can smash them. But if you're on one of those lakes where that now seems to be dwindling, it just seems to be tougher than it was, you're not alone. We've got like one more trick up our sleeve that we use right now. Here's the deal. When it gets this hot, when the water temps get this high and the fish just start shutting down, the last trick up our sleeves is to downsize. Now, this applies to every category of our fishing. I've got basically 5 categories here that I want to talk to you about today, because these are the exact places where I see the biggest change. But you could do this with anything. Remember, in most of the country, bass start getting fished hard about late February, early March. They've seen it all by now. They saw it all the way through summer. So the things that you're doing are things that they've already seen. As it gets so hot that they get a little more lethargic, they get even that more sensitive and that more disinterested in things they've already seen. So again, that last trick is to downsize. Now we can go way down, and we're going to talk about some of that, but some of this stuff is not way down at all. It's just a little smaller. It's just a little different approach, but these things make a huge difference right now. Let's start with the shaky head. Okay, a shaky head worm, for me, starting like post spawn back in spring all the way through summer, and there's people that throw a shaky head all day, every day. I'm not one of them. I use a shaky head as a tool all through those warmer months. I catch a lot of fish. I catch a lot of really big fish. But as we get into mid-August and we start seeing that peak heat, I start catching less of the big ones, and I go back to just trying to catch fish. And that's something I've talked about all year long leading up to this, is that downsizing of your shaky head worm. I mean, we were talking about this in May and June, right? Downsizing that shaky head worm to get more bites. Now it becomes critical. This is the X-Zone deception worm. All summer, I'm really hung up on throwing June bug because I'm looking for that big bite. Now we're getting into that time of year where I just want to catch them. And I'll still catch big ones right now, but I don't catch as many. And honestly, I live on a pretty good lake. So when I'm home, we can still catch some really big ones even in the heat of the summer. I mean, Chickamauga, we're not far from Gunnersville. These are factories that kick them out all the time, but you may not. You may live on a fishery that's tightened up even more than ours have, and I want to help you through that. So downsizing your shaky head worm, I go to these little bit more neutral colors, and again, smaller worms. So that's that X-Zone deception worm. We've been talking about that all year, but this color, Pumpkin Plum Party. It's a half green pumpkin, half plum. Okay, sort of a blend. That's just a natural color that I've got a lot of confidence in. And then the other one that I've really been slinging around lately from Crush City is the Janitor worm. And this one's pretty similar. They call it Bama Bug. It's a green pumpkin mixed with a June bug. I start leaning away from that true June bug worm now, looking for more bites with some of those more natural colored worms. And then both of those worms, I'm dropping down. This is that Missile Baits Warlock head. And again, I've talked about this a lot. This is not new. Some of these other ones will be. But this Warlock head, like a 3/16 or a quarter, It's a much smaller hook than a lot of Shaky heads. Great screw lock on it. It'll hold those baits really well. Smaller hook, lighter wire. It's like a medium wire. I can throw this on 8 and 10 pound, no problem, all day long. I can throw it on, 10 to 12 as well, but I can go lighter. Again, if the fishing's getting tougher, downsizing the worm, going to some of these smaller, shorter, skinnier worms, going down to that smaller, lighter wire Shaky head allows me to go to that lighter line and get more bites. The next category, I mean, these are in no particular order. Let's talk drop shot. We'll talk about the other worm first. Drop shotting. I've got sort of two ways of thinking. There's like, one method is more Tim's method and one is more my method. So Tim, this time of year, he'll get to what we call power shotting a lot. So the fish are in the grass, they're in the shade, they're trying to hide. I'm out there flipping a big creature bait, flipping a jig, trying to catch these fish, catch a lot of big ones. But when that starts shutting down, Tim will start taking that worm right there, that 6-inch magic worm, like Junebug Dream. That's my favorite color for it, but there's some natural options as well. We'll link all that in the video description for you, okay? So the baits, our favorite colors for each one, the hooks we use to rig them, all that stuff will all be in the video description, going straight to Tackle Warehouse. But back to that bait. Tim will take that bait, set it up on a bait caster, and flip a drop shot into grass, into heavy cover, where I would normally be flipping a jig or a creature bait, and he keeps getting bit. It works really well. I've watched him do it for years. Now, why do I say he does it and I don't? Well, he's doing it. I don't have to. It's not my favorite style of fishing. So when we're standing on the deck of the boat and he's doing it, I can do the other things, right? He's really, really good at it. Now, at the other end of the spectrum, like a true downsize, this is the OSP dice. This little guy on a drop shot has been deadly for me this past year. I mean, deadly. Shaking that thing on a drop shot, it is just a different profile than the worms and the minnows and the flat tails and the paddle tails and things that we normally throw on a drop shot. The fish response to this thing is crazy. I mean, they flat eat it, just nonstop. They just eat it. That is a downsize move. If you like to drop shot, you're normally drop shotting with worms and other things, and you haven't tried throwing a dice on there. Now, a dice, they're pretty pricey, especially for what they are, but they're also made out of a super durable material. I mean, you could take the same dice and drop shot with it for days. Okay, so keep that in mind. As long as you don't break it off, they just keep going and going and going. So it's not as bad as it seems up front. You'll go through packs of worms while still drop shotting the same one dice. So that little setup, do we call it a die? I guess it's a die, not a dice when it's just one, right? But that little guy is a unique presentation that they have not seen. If you can get your hands on the non-salt version, that's definitely the one that I would drop shot with first, because when you pause it, it just sort of hovers there. If you can't find those, the heavier ones, the salted ones, I mean, they still work fine on a drop shot. It's just when you pause, they're gonna start to sink. But a lot of worms do that too. Don't worry about it too much, but if both are in stock and you have the choice, get the non-salt. I'll probably link both in the description for you. And then let's talk the little creature baits, okay? This time of year, this is my favorite thing to do this. I love when this bite comes on. I've been spending all spring throwing Texas rigs and creature baits and flipping cover and pitching around the edges of laydowns and all these things with full-size baits. This is about the time where the little guys take over for me. Let me pull these both out. These are both in that Stealth Finesse series. This is the Stealth Creature. This is the Stealth Craw. And flat out, I grabbed my two favorite colors. In the Creature, it's this black, blue, green pumpkin. This one, where it's black, blue on one side, green pumpkin on the other. If I could only have one, like if I was just gonna gamble, just throw one in my bag to go anywhere, that's the one I would gamble on. Because you can flip it over and get two very different profile, or very different color palettes out of it. But that little creature bait, and then this little craw, the Stealth Craw, creature and craw. Two different profiles, both extremely small. The craw, this color is called grass craw. It's like green pumpkin with red flake. For whatever reason in that craw, that is the one, right? I throw a bunch of colors, but if I had to gamble on one, it's grass craw. They just munch that thing. It's amazing how fish respond to them. So again, these fish have been seeing everything, right? Everybody's thrown a Texas rig at them or a Carolina rig or whatever. I come along throwing this tiny little profile here on Chickamauga. The bite will just be dead. You know, you go out in the afternoon and for whatever reason, it's just a bad day. We have days that are rocking and we have days that are brutal. That's river fishing. When it shuts down, it's so shut down. It's like there's nothing you could do to turn that light switch. They are done. Except that. When I go to that little tiny creature, that little tiny craw, all of a sudden it comes back to life. Now, it's not always the biggest fish, but who cares? I'm catching fish. And I catch a lot of them. I mean, I'll work a bank and won't get a bite. I turn around, put one of those on, and I come through and just bing, 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 just pick them off. Now, how I set it up, the main way that we started doing this was the micro Texas rig. So taking a 1/32 ounce tungsten weight or a 1/16 ounce tungsten weight. You can go all the way up to a 1/8, but 1/16, I would say that's the sweet spot, okay? A 1/16 ounce tungsten with a small wide gap. Like that all-purpose bait hook. I love the all-purpose bait hook in all sizes because it is an inexpensive hook, super affordable. They're solid, they just work. They've got a needle point on them. It's just a good medium wire hook. I love that hook in all sizes, but that in a 1 or a 1/0 pairs up beautifully. It's just a micro Texas rig, and you can flip that. You can do it on spinning or bait finesse gear. I always do it on bait finesse because then I feel like it's still real. Like I'm used to taking a flipping stick with a 1.5 ounces and a big creature bait and flip it. And then I'm used to picking up like a 7/4 heavy casting rod with a 1/2 ounce weight and a creature or a craw and flip and cover. I pick up a bait finesse rod with a 1/16 ounce and my little creature, and it feels the exact same. Hook sets are the same, the load ups are the same. So for me, it's this repetitive motion. I'm used to it, I'm comfortable, I'm on it. Other people, you can throw this stuff on spinning gear all day long. You can go either direction. In the video description, along with all the baits, I'll give you some rod and reel recommendations as well, like our specific favorites for some of this stuff. But 2 more ways to set this up. You guys have seen me using this a lot the last year, the Nedlocks EWG. This is like the lazy man's version of the same thing. So you don't want to do the Texas rig. What this is a weedless Ned head. So it's just like a traditional Ned head, but then it's a little wide gap hook instead of just your standard hook. This setup with these same baits, I have killed it for the last probably 1.5 years. We found it by accident. Tim and I were doing some river fishing in the jet boat, and we were just breaking Ned rigs off left and right. So we picked some of these up to try them. And I just always assumed that the hookup ratio wouldn't be that good just because it's weedless. Not true. It's really good. So a lot of times, instead of the Texas rig, I'll just be lazy and I'll throw that instead because it's so easy. And then with that, I started poking around more and I ended up on these finesse bullets. The finesse bullets are just like that Nedlocks, except they're more weedless. So if you're really gonna flip them around cover, either a Texas rig or that finesse bullets, either one of those is going to do a really, really good job for you. But going to those tiny little creatures and craws will get you bit. Again, we're not necessarily gonna flip in there and stick a 10-pounder. Now, if she's up there, I absolutely think she'll eat it. These can catch giants, but what we're trying to do is catch everything. We're trying to take a tough time of year where it's just hard to get bit, and when it's baking hot and you're not getting bit, it doesn't get much more miserable, especially when that humidity's cranked up and you're just pouring, right? That's brutal. So we're going to a bait that will just catch them all. If we come across a big one, we'll catch them, but we'll catch all the little ones in between too, and it's just more fun. Next up, downsizing our swim baits. You know, we spend a lot of time throwing 4.75, 5-inch baits, 4-inch baits. Downsizing right now is a major deal. So the shad spawned back in like April, May. Those shad are growing up. A lot of those shad now are in that like juvenile size range. So not only are we downsizing because we want to get bit, it's actually an appropriate downsize to match the hatch. So going to the smaller underspin. This is our tactical mini underspin. We make full size as well that comes in a bunch of weights and a bunch of different hook sizes. But in the mini, you've got 1/8 all the way through 3/8. You got 4 sizes. They all have the exact same little hook in them. It's a small hook, but it is a 2X hook. It's stout. You throw it on 12-pound line, you will not bend it out. You can lean on them, but you can also drop down to 4- and 6-pound line and still get a hook in them. But that little underspin right there, paired up with an appropriate little swim bait. You know, that X-Zone Swammer, that 2.75 Swammer, we throw a ton. That little tiny Crush City Mayor. Tim really latched onto the Mayor right after they came out, and I saw his success with it, started trying it, and I was really impressed as well. I had a day last fall where I was throwing a Mayor like on a weedless setup, and I caught so many fish on it. It was there was like no bait left before they stopped eating that thing, and that single day boosted my confidence to where I started throwing it a lot more and just plowing fish on them. But the difference here is the Mayor is going to be like a true shad profile, tight action, fast action, whereas Swammer is like this exaggerated rolling and kicking. The Swammer is like a cross between a traditional paddle tail and a hollow belly swim bait, like a bass tricks where you get that twisting action. A Swammer does both. So one of these is like a shad profile, high vibration. The other one is like a do-all swim bait. The other thing about a Swammer, I don't explain this very often. The Swammer in any size is like, in my opinion, the best beginner swim bait ever. And here's why. The Swammer twists so much. And here's a bigger one just laying on my boat deck. It's on the back of this swim jig. Let me pull it off. The head's been cut off because it was on a swim jig, but you got the idea. As this thing's coming through the water, the tail is kicking and the body is twisting, okay? Those two actions together, there's so much going on that if you rig the bait crooked, it doesn't even matter. So what I mean by that is so many swim baits, like Kitex, you've got to line them up and they've got to be exact, otherwise they don't look right. So many swim baits are like that. The Swammer can be rigged off. You can put a little too much on, you can pop out a little bit too far to the side, you're off center. It still tracks true and it gets bit the exact same way. And that's one of the reasons why we rave about them so much, is it's a bait that actually makes it easier for people to catch fish, because we can tell you the exact right bait, but if you go and rig it wrong, you're in trouble anyway. That's one of those baits where I have confidence that if you try it, it won't matter if you rig it wrong. It's going to track right and the fish are going to eat it and you're going to see the same result that I'm seeing. And that's awesome. But either one of those swim baits on that downsized underspin is such a good pairing to the conditions, to the size of the bait fish. I call that a catch-all, right? Like it will catch them all, just like that creature or that craw. And then the last thing is going to be downsizing our topwater presentations. You know, we'll see as we go through August. I mean, the topwater bite never quits all the way through summer. When it gets super hot, they kind of back off it and you'll see it early and late in the day. But then you'll also see sometimes in August where they'll start running that juvenile bait on top, even in the middle of the day, even when it's hot. All of a sudden, they'll come up boiling on that stuff in a lot of lakes. And when that's going on, you can catch them. But again, they've already seen it all. So regardless of the type of lake, I'm going to downsize that topwater. I've got 3 baits here for you. The first one is a little frog. That's the Jackal Kayara. If I have to downsize a frog, no question, that's where I'm headed. This is one of my favorite baits of all time. Now, do I have a ton of favorites? Yes, a ton of favorites. thousands of baits on that list. But I had somebody last year ask me to come up with a top 10. This was on my top 10, this specific bait. And it was because of how universal it is. How many different places I've been able to catch fish of all sizes. I'm able to take it and catch frogfish in cover, catch frogfish in open water, catch big ones, catch little ones. I catch them in muddy lakes. I catch them in clear water, places where a frog shouldn't even work. It's working. It's just one of those baits that, again, is a catch-all. I mean, that's a great name for it. It's been a very impactful bait in my fishing, as well as in the hands of my clients, my friends, my family, when I give those baits to them to try as well. So downsizing that frog, people have been throwing a frog since spring. All of a sudden you come along with a ghosty, smaller little frog that looks like the bait fish that they're eating around the edges of that cover, and they're on it again. Next one is that little Megabass Pop X, a smaller popper. Now you could go all the way down to like the BFS baby, the little one, but that standard, that Pop X, that's a killer downsized popper. You can walk it like a tiny walking bait, but you could just fish that popper too. We're gonna see a lot of fish that are willing, early and late in the day, they're willing to blow up on top, but it's so hot that they don't wanna chase. They don't wanna come out from the cover that they're up against. So I'll take a popper, pitch up against that cover. Instead of walking a walking bait all the way down an edge, I take that popper, throw it right to the sweet spots, slow fish it, bloop, let it sit. Bloop, bloop, let it sit. And that little popper will pull fish when other topwaters have stopped working. And then last, certainly not least, is the Karashi. You guys had to know that was coming, right? The Karashi's not a true topwater. This bait does sink, but I fish it so quickly, so often. When you fish it fast, it completely stays on top. It's up there walking the dog, but you can slow it down. You can fish it as deep as you want. But the Karashi, as you know, if you've seen any tactical video in the last few years, draws a fish response unlike any other bait we've ever encountered. The way fish just go from lethargic to full speed, and then they eat it over and over and over and over until they get it, it's truly different. If you guys missed it, back earlier in summer, Tim and I actually got the opportunity to design some new colors of the Karashi with Megabass. Just because the Karashi became so popular, they called us and were like, we've heard that this thing's blowing up. We want to know what's going on. Why are you guys throwing it so much? Tell us the story. We got to talking. Next thing you know, they're letting us have some 2 cents here in filling in some niches that really needed to be filled in. This is one of those baits. This is Glitz Shad. This is one of my favorites. That's probably the one I have tied on most often. It's just a bait fishy, shaddy, neutral, but sort of solid color. So we get a solid color that'll stand out in more stained water. We're getting reflection that will shine in clear water. We've got sort of a goldish top that will catch fish in non-shad fisheries. We've got that true shad tone that'll catch those shad fish. And then we've got that little shot of chartreuse. I've got a lot of faith in that. That little shot of chartreuse, not too much, but just a little bit, can go a long ways. I love that color. Again, that one is called Glitz Shad, but any Karashi in any color is a fish catcher. It's ridiculous, but we'll link these in the video description for you as well. But guys, we'll wrap it up there. Listen, August is hot. No way around it. It's blazing, but the fishing can still be amazing. And I may not have described your lake as well, because again, where I live, my lake is actually hopping pretty good in August. We can catch some big ones, and we can catch a lot of them, but we still have those days where they just lock down, and this is the stuff I turn to. But there are people all over the country where you're just a little bit ahead of that, and your fish, we're getting to where they really don't like it anymore. And this is going to help you through that. We'll talk more about this stuff as we head into that fall transition as well, but we wanted to get you out in front of it. This stuff works when it gets really, really hot this time of year. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk to you soon.